Long before the pyramids pierced the blue Egyptian sky, before kings wore crowns of gold, a starving stranger walked alone into a land that did not know his name. He had no wealth, no army, no sword, only a sharp mind and a hunger that cut deeper than any blade. In the shadows of mighty Egypt, where the king appeared only once a year, this unknown wanderer would rise so high that his new name would echo through every future Egyptian dynasty. In the ancient land of Shinar lived a young man named Rikayan. He was known for his gentle voice, striking appearance, and sharp mind. Yet for all his wisdom, the world had given him nothing. He had no home of his own, no fields to farm, and no gold to carry. Hunger followed him like a shadow, and poverty clung to him like dust. Rikayan often wondered why the gods gave beauty to the poor, and wisdom to the forgotten, as if mocking them. But one day, a daring thought rose inside him like fire. "I will go to Egypt," he said to himself. For in those days, Egypt was the wealthiest land under the sun, ruled by Osiris, the son of Anum. Rikayan had heard of the king's greatness. He believed that if only he could stand before Osiris and show him his wisdom, then perhaps he would find favor. Perhaps his life would change. So he left Shinar with nothing but hope. After a long journey across deserts and strange towns, Rikayan entered Egypt. Its tall pillars, rich markets, and mighty rivers dazzled him. But when he asked people how he can meet the king, they laughed. "Don't you know the custom? The king appears only one day each year. That is the only day he judges, speaks, or listens. The rest of the year, he returns to his palace and no man sees him," they told him. Rikayan felt as if his heart had been struck. One day? Only one day? And he had arrived just after the king had returned to his palace. An entire year before he could speak to the king. That night, he wandered the streets, stomach empty, and mind racing. He found an old ruined building, once a bakery, but collapsed on the inside. He lay awake on the cold ground, bitterness in his heart, all his dreams crushed by what he had just been told. But at sunrise, he forced himself up and walked the streets again. People sold vegetables and seeds at small stalls. Rikayan decided to do the same until the king's day arrived. He bought vegetables and tried shouting like the sellers around him. But he did not know the customs. He did not know the techniques, the haggling, the way the Egyptians bought and sold. The street rabble saw his awkwardness. They mocked him, pushed him aside, and took his vegetables for themselves. By evening, Rikayan returned to the broken bakehouse with nothing. No food, no money, and no dignity. He slept again on the cold floor, whispering into the darkness, "How will I survive a whole year?" But the night did not answer him. His rumbling stomach did. And hunger, when it becomes unbearable, sharpens the mind. The next morning, Rikayan rose with a strange calmness on his face. He walked among the roughest men of the city, strong, idle, and willing to do anything for a few coins. He hired 30 of them and led them to the great Egyptian sepulchres where the dead were buried. Standing before them, he spoke boldly. "Thus says the king, let no man be buried here unless he first pays 200 pieces of silver." The men, armed and fierce, obeyed him without question. News spread like wildfire. Families came with their dead, weeping and confused. The guards atop the sepulchre blocked their way. "No burial unless the silver is paid," they announced. It had never been done in Egypt before. But who would dare challenge a command said to be from the king? In 8 months, Rikayan became wealthy beyond anything he had imagined. Gold and silver flowed to him in heaps. He bought horses, fine clothing, and hired even more men to guard his wealth. By the time the year ended and the king's day of appearance approached, Rikayon was no longer a poor stranger. He was a man of power. But the people of Egypt were furious. On the appointed day, Osiris the king came forth from the palace in full splendor. Thousands gathered, and their voices rose in a single cry. "Almighty King, what wickedness is this?" They asked him. "Why are we forced to pay for the burial of our dead? Never has such a thing been done. Not from the days of the first man Adam until now." Osiris listened, shocked. He knew nothing of this strange law. "Who has done this thing in my land?" he demanded. When he learned that a foreigner, a man named Rikayon, had commanded it without royal permission, the king's anger burned hot. "Bring him before me," he roared. But Rikayon was already preparing for this moment. Instead of running or hiding, Rikayon dressed in the finest robes he owned. He clothed 1,000 children in silk and beautiful embroidery. He placed them on elegant horses and sent them ahead of him as a parade. Then Rikayon himself approached the king, bearing an enormous treasure of gold, silver, jewels, and a magnificent horse as a gift. The people gasped. The king's anger cooled at once, replaced with wonder. "Who is this man?" they whispered. Rikayon bowed deep to the ground, rising only when the king commanded it. And when Osiris asked him to explain his deeds, Rikayon spoke with such wisdom, clarity, and boldness that even the oldest counselors nodded in respect. He admitted his actions, but he also showed what Egypt had gained: order, wealth, and new structure. He spoke not as a thief, but as a man who understood power better than anyone the king had ever known. When Rikayon finished speaking, silence covered the crowd. The king smiled, and the fate of Egypt changed forever. "Rikayon," the king said, "you shall no longer be called by that name, for you have done a thing no man has done." He lifted his hand and declared, "Your new name shall be Pharaoh." A ripple went through the crowd. The word carried weight. The sound of it seemed ancient, powerful, and fitting. The people of Egypt, once angry, now admired this man who had risen from nothing by pure wisdom. They praised his boldness. They applauded his cleverness. And the king himself, moved by both fear and respect, appointed him prefect of all Egypt. From that day on, Pharaoh governed the land. While Osiris judged the people only one day each year, Pharaoh judged them every day. He controlled the taxes, the soldiers, the markets, the systems of order. Little by little, he became the real ruler of Egypt. And the people loved him for it. Under his leadership, Egypt prospered. Crime lessened. Justice was swift. Pharaoh's wisdom became known far beyond the borders of the Nile. And so, the Egyptians made a great decree. Every king who rules over us, and over our children, shall bear the title Pharaoh. A name born from hunger. A name born from audacity. A name born from a stranger. A name that would echo through ages. Khufu, Ramses, Thutmose, Amenhotep, all carrying the title first given to Rikayon, the man who transformed his destiny. Thus, the first pharaoh rose not by bloodline, not by royal birth, but by intelligence, boldness, and the refusal to remain invisible. His story became legend. His name became eternal. And Egypt, great and mighty Egypt, would never again forget the name Pharaoh.